It falls to me then today to bring us to the end and do a little bit of summarising of some of the amazing things that we've been hearing today. So I just wanted to reflect a little bit on what we've been hearing and what might be the next steps. So to remember, we started today and I showed you two examples, and we had this first example which was very top-down, and it was quite done to, and it was very much teachers being told someone else knows better than you, someone else knows what's more important for your pupils, you need to learn it. And I contrasted it with the second version, which was much more focused on teachers identifying what's important for me, for my learners. I identify my growth, I work with experts, I explore the learning. I learn to develop myself to help my pupils. So what are some key messages from today? Well, from the lead meets, we were hearing about the passion that needs to be in CPD, that it needs to be practical, that it needs to be lasting. Graham Donaldson gave us a fantastic sense of realising great learning through leadership and development, and this wonderful vision that Wales has got now about moving forward together with vision and with purpose and leading this great teaching in schools. Vivian Porritt talking about middle leaders as catalysts of change, getting every team in your school working together really effectively. Pete Dudley talking about the power of lesson study, this wonderful collaborative model from Japan that's helping teachers see students in a new light. Philippa Accordingly talk about this wonderful concept of powerful professional learning and reciprocal co-coaching, getting teachers coaching each other, as she calls it, stealth learning. Sam Twizzleton talking about concept and skill building teachers and this idea of developing teachers in their thinking to get richer. And then obviously we just heard Melia talking about high expectations, leadership of learning, broad curriculum opportunities, flexible non-formulaic lessons. These are all very exciting ideas, and I hope everyone has pages full of notes and heads full of ideas. But of course, big questions. Right at the very beginning I talked about notes that will go back to your school and go back in a box. So how are you going to sustain today? Today could be a little flutter that you remember in a few years as that was a nice day, or it could be a beginning of a transformation, or a real impetus on the journey you're already taking. How are you going to make sure these notes don't get lost in that box of good intentions? How are you going to make sure that you develop leadership of professional learning? How can you transform the culture, not only in your school, but in any school you come into contact with? How can you be champions to make sure that every school has space for staff to create and think and learn and innovate and solve problems for their pupils? The practical side, how are you going to make time and space? It requires learning spaces for teachers being carefully designed as we do for classrooms. It needs teachers having time. What are we taking away? We can't add CPD to everything else. We need to take things away and make space. There's something deeply cultural. We talked about that wonderful study from the US where the culture of the school helped teachers grow or not. How do you spark this culture of ideas where everyone is bringing their own professional creativity to solve problems, to achieve aspirations, get this thirst for knowledge, never just what's the best in our institution, but what's the best in our nation, what's the best internationally, how can I learn from the best? I loved Graham Donaldson's idea of not only seeing the best in your school, but seeing the best in the nation. How do we make sure everyone has access to that? And then what are you going to do to make sure it's not just the first version of this thinking? How are you going to develop this thinking over time? How are you going to work with other schools and colleagues and experts to enrich and develop your thinking, challenge yourselves as you implement these ideas, get them to be richer and solve those problems together? What evidence are you going to engage with? We've obviously given you copies of these. There are some wonderful other studies that talk about expertise and development and coaching and leadership. How can you engage with all of these? So all of this needs to be worked into your plan. Okay, so thank you in advance for the work you're going to do to sustain this thinking and learning, and thank you for all your attention today, and have a safe journey home. Thank you.